Welcome back to my channel, and today we're diving into one of the biggest welfare and transport stories currently unfolding in the UK, as the Department for Work and Pensions announces an immediate and controversial change to the Motability Scheme within the autumn budget, a decision that is already sparking intense discussion among disabled citizens, advocacy groups, and political commentators alike. The government has confirmed that luxury vehicles will no longer be available to Motability recipients, marking a major shift in how the program operates and the types of vehicles disabled drivers will be able to access moving forward. According to the Labour government, the purpose behind this major policy shift is to redirect funding and strategic support toward British car manufacturers as part of a wider industrial plan meant to boost domestic production, protect skilled jobs, and strengthen the UK's economic foundation. As part of this transition, premium brands such as BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Lexus, and Alfa Romeo are being removed from the scheme immediately, meaning thousands of users who may have relied on certain models for their accessibility needs will now have to explore different options. Motability, in its official statement, acknowledged the significant nature of the change and outlined how it plans to adapt in both the short and long term. The organisation explained that Motability operations will now work more closely with UK-based manufacturers to expand the availability of British-built vehicles, while still trying to maintain affordability, variety, and overall quality for its customers. Part of this plan includes doubling the number of British-made Nissan vehicles leased through the programme, targeting around 40,000 of these models as the first major step in a broader strategy. Looking even further ahead, Motability confirmed an ambitious long-term goal. By 2030, it aims for 25% of all vehicles offered through the scheme to be manufactured in the UK, a dramatic increase from the modest 7% seen today, reflecting a strong push to revitalise domestic automotive production and reduce reliance on overseas imports. Chancellor Rachel Reeves underscored the political motivations behind the shift, emphasising that backing British manufacturing sits at the heart of Labour's modern industrial strategy. She argued that strengthening the UK car sector is both a forward-thinking economic move and an investment in protecting thousands of well-paid, high-skilled jobs. Reeves linked this industrial focus to broader Labour priorities, including reducing the national debt, shortening NHS waiting lists, and tackling the cost of living pressures that have affected households across the nation. Her message highlights Labour's attempt to balance welfare spending with long-term economic planning, especially as concerns grow over rising benefit costs. This is where another major development comes in. Labour Cabinet Minister Stephen Timms has launched a comprehensive review of personal independence payment, or PIP, to evaluate why costs have risen rapidly and whether the system is delivering fair and sustainable support. Timms reassured claimants that no changes will be made to the mobility component's eligibility rules during the review, which is expected to last around a year, but his comments have still left many people feeling uncertain about what reforms could arrive in the future. In parallel with the Motability adjustments and the PIP review, tomorrow's autumn budget is also expected to introduce a renewed crackdown on benefit fraud. The Chancellor plans to highlight this as part of the government's promise to safeguard public funds and ensure the welfare system is functioning properly, especially at a time when ministers face criticism for rising welfare expenditures. However, not all the upcoming policy changes are restrictive. One of the most talked about decisions is the government's move to abolish the two-child limit for universal credit, a policy long criticised by charities, social policy experts, and Labour MPs for pushing larger families into poverty. Abolishing the two-child limit is expected to cost the government around £3 billion, but Labour argues that the investment is necessary to protect children from hardship, reduce inequality, and ensure families are not unfairly penalised based on size. Many political analysts view this removal as one of the most significant welfare reforms in recent years, one that could reshape the social support landscape for millions of families. However, while some families may welcome this change, the immediate removal of luxury vehicles from the Motability Scheme is raising real concerns among disabled individuals who depend on specific features, technology, or vehicle sizes that are not always available in cheaper or UK-built models. For many people with disabilities, a suitable car is not a luxury but an essential form of independence, allowing them to work, attend medical appointments, care for family members, and live more freely. Critics argue that restricting access might unintentionally reduce mobility options for those with more complex needs, especially if UK-built alternatives do not yet offer the same levels of adaptability or engineering required for certain disabilities. Supporters of the policy counter that taxpayer-funded benefits should prioritize practicality and value rather than premium brand status, and that strengthening British manufacturing is a worthwhile national investment that will lead to long-term benefits. Supporters also argue that Motability's promise to maintain affordability and choice should help soften the impact, though many recipients remain skeptical until they see the new vehicle list in practice. As these changes roll out, the question on many people's minds is whether UK manufacturers will be able to scale production fast enough to meet the diverse needs of Motability users, and whether future models will incorporate the accessibility features that international brands have spent years perfecting. Another key question is how quickly the automotive sector can pivot toward electric accessibility vehicles, something that will become increasingly important as the UK transitions toward green transport and as older petrol-based models are gradually phased out. In addition to these concerns, many disability advocates point out that vehicle choice plays a major role in comfort and long-term health. The layout of a seat, the height of a roof, the ease of transferring from a wheelchair, the ability to carry medical equipment, and even the smoothness of the suspension can make or break the usability of a car. Some fear that if the range of vehicles becomes too limited, it could force people into choosing cars that do not fully suit their conditions, potentially increasing pain, fatigue, or reliance on additional support. Others warn that drivers who live in rural areas, who travel long distances for care, or who need spacious vehicles for mobility aids may feel the impact most sharply. On the economic side, analysts continue to debate whether directing funds strictly toward British-built vehicles will truly bolster the industry or whether the transition may take longer than expected, leading to supply delays, fewer immediate choices, or higher upfront costs for Motability until production scales. At the same time, some supporters argue that if domestic carmakers see a stable, government-backed demand through Motability, they may be more inclined to invest in research, innovation, and accessible car designs tailored specifically for the UK mobility market. This could eventually lead to vehicles that are better suited to disabled users than the imported models previously available. This complex mix of welfare reform, industrial strategy, and social policy underscores a pivotal moment for the UK. The government is attempting to reshape how public funds are spent, how support is offered to disabled people, and how the nation positions itself economically for the future. The coming months and years will determine whether these reforms succeed or create new challenges for those who depend on the system the most. Whichever direction this situation heads, one thing is certain: these decisions will have a lasting impact on disabled communities, families relying on universal credit, and the long-term health of the UK's automotive sector. As always, I'll continue tracking these changes closely and bringing you clear, detailed updates so you can stay informed about how national policy decisions may affect your daily life. If you found this breakdown useful and want to stay ahead of the latest government updates, budget announcements, and welfare changes, make sure to like this video, share it with others who might need this information, and of course don't forget to subscribe to my channel.